Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we're going to be talking about something that I got an email about this week about the safety of motorcycles. You know, this topic seems to come up a lot whenever you talk to folks who ride, as well as folks who don't ride. You know, many of us have friends who have either died in motorcycle accidents, been severely injured, or we've been in motorcycle accidents ourselves. I've been in a motorcycle accident. I've been in several in my lifetime. Where, you know, I broke bones and, you know, got scraped up, got bruised up pretty bad. It has not kept me from riding, and I will tell you that every single time I was at fault. And that leads to a different conversation. But what we want to do, we want to talk about the 10 common causes of motorcycle accidents. And then as we work our way through all of these, as this series develops, we're going to be talking about the types of motorcycle accidents, and is the CanAm Spider, or trikes generally speaking, safer than two-wheeled motorcycles? I won't let the cat out of the bag on that one, but eventually we will get there. But before we get started, if I could get you to do me a favor, go down below, give the video a thumbs up. It really does help. It moves us up in the algorithm. It makes us more visible, helps the channel grow. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and let's get started. You're going to see me looking down, and I'm going to drop a link to this article. This is a very good article. I'm always scouring the internet for information. Anything that helps me grow, helps me learn, I want to have a piece of it. It makes me a better rider. It makes me a better instructor. It makes me a better coach. It makes me a better everything. One thing that none of us want to hear is that motorcycles are more dangerous than automobiles. However, 80% of all motorcycle crashes result in injury or death. Now, that might not surprise you, but only 20% of accidents in automobiles result in injury and or death. You're 27 more times likely to suffer a fatality in a collision on a motorcycle than you are in an automobile. That's pretty startling statistic. It doesn't mean that we should have a paralyzing fear of riding, but it does mean that we have to approach it with a little forethought and be prepared. You know, per 10,000 miles of registered vehicles in 2017 in motorcycles, so per 10,000, there were 60 fatalities. The injury rate was over 1,000 per 100,000, as opposed to a passenger car, which only had 10 fatalities. The injury rate, though, in the automobile that year was actually higher. So when you start looking at fatalities versus injuries, you're more prone to die on the motorcycle. And that makes sense. You're out in the open. You're not surrounded by seat belts and airbags and cage and all that stuff. So you just have to understand those things. And that doesn't mean that you have to be horrified of riding. So let's talk about the top factor that causes motorcycle accidents. This is going to be a little cage rattling, I hope, for all of us. It is personal factors. The personal factor, us. We are the primary cause of our accident. No, not by getting on a motorcycle, but by behaving irresponsibly on a motorcycle. In a world that wants to tell you being irresponsible has no physical manifestation other than the fact that, you know, you're a victim. No, being irresponsible will get you killed on a motorcycle. It will get you injured on a motorcycle. It will injure others that are riding with you. So these personal factors, we need to take these very, very seriously. So let's talk about the personal factors. So here's the first one. This one probably won't surprise you. It didn't surprise me at all. And that is the number one thing that you can do that will keep you from getting killed on a motorcycle is don't drink and don't do drugs. Now, I know that sounds like a campaign ad for some commercial for high schoolers, but it's a fact. It doesn't change the fact that it's true. So let's look at some of these crazy stats. According to the Highway Transportation Safety Authority, 30% of the bikers involved in fatal motorcycle accidents, 30% were above the legal limit of drinking. They were drunk. They were intoxicated. 30%. That's enormous. That's enormous. So you're lowering your chance of dying just by not getting on the motorcycle drunk. That's kind of crazy. And even when you look a little further up, 45% of all fatal accidents, they were drinking. They may not have been drunk, but they were drinking. That should tell you something. I think most of us know that motorcycle culture, and I'm just going to call it that, when you go to an event, when you go to a ride-in, when you go to a bike night, when you go to a motorcycle rally, alcohol's free-flowing. Everyone's drinking. And the motorcycle industry seems to perpetuate this kind of behavior. And it really surprises me because they're literally killing off their base. I don't understand that, but it's just the way it is. 29% of motorcyclists involved in accidents in 2012 had a blood alcohol content of 0.08. And the highest age demographic, get this, was age 40 to age 44. 34% of that group fell within that age demographic. Now, by the age of 45 to 49, it's down to 33%, 35 to 39, 33%. So it's pretty much 35 to 49 make up almost that entire group. So this isn't something that we can say, well, it's a bunch of irresponsible hooligans out on motorcycles. No, these are grown-ups. These are adults, people who know better. Now, I'm not going to lecture you on the dangers of alcohol. If you choose to go out and drink, well, that's your call. I am telling you this. I'm very sensitive to it because I have a wife that was paralyzed because of a drunk driver. Over 30 years ago, a drunk driver on a desert road ran into the side of her automobile and paralyzed her. And it's a miracle that it didn't kill her. So I have zero sympathy for people that get out and get drunk and drive. I will tell you that. It doesn't mean that I don't love you, but for people that get drunk and go out and kill themselves, I just pray they don't kill you when you're not drinking and they don't run into my children or my wife. People have to take responsibility for that. So this isn't a lecture session. This is just the way it is. Most adults can stay below the 0.08, which is the intoxication level, at a rate of 1 drink per hour. That equates to roughly 1.25 ounce of hard liquor or 1 beer per hour. But just because you do that doesn't mean that the negative effects of alcohol aren't there. It does affect your cerebral cortex, which is judgment and reasoning. It affects the cerebellum, which is balance and coordination. The hypothalamus, which is your appetite, your temperature, pain, your emotions. That's why drunk people get in fights. The amygdala, which is your social behavior, and the hippocampus, which is your memory and your ability to learn. So understand that not only does it impede your ability to ride a motorcycle, it has a lot of other ramifications that are going on inside of you. Number one cause, something directly in your control, is drinking. Don't do it. Next one, number 2. This is one that I am very, very guilty of. I'm just going to come clean. I'm guilty of it. And I think most folks are, if we're being honest with ourselves. I'm not one to drink and ride, I'll tell you that. But I am one of these guys. I go too fast. And I go too fast often. And I shouldn't do that. Because that is number 2, speed. Speed will get you killed. You know, most motorcycles, including the CanAm Spider, the exhilaration of hitting that throttle and that acceleration is so far superior to a car. You know, you would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a car that would accelerate like my Speed Triple. The bike is an absolute beast of a machine, and it will get you in a world of trouble. 31% of all United States motorcycle fatalities were speeding. Now, that doesn't mean that that is a separate category, because of that 30%, some of those guys were drinking. Understand that. These problems start to compound when you have impeded your ability to make good, rational decisions while you're drunk, while you've been slowing down your response, your stimulus response. Now you get on a motorcycle and you start hauling butt down the road. It's a bad combination. You know, most motorcycles that are speed-related accidents are the gravel in the corners, the inability to stop, the rough road surfaces that will get you in trouble where it creates the tank slapper and that sort of stuff for you two-wheeled folks. Not so prevalent on the Spider or trikes, but on two-wheelers, man, tank slappers will put you on the ground. Now, in this article, it does state that the majority of motorcycle accidents, though, do occur under 30 miles per hour. I believe that. I don't find that hard to believe at all. But speed kills you. Lower speeds hurt you. The idea of breaking a bone, getting some road rash, none of that's appealing, but it beats the trip to the cemetery. So speed is the most common reason you get in an accident. Now, it doesn't mean death, but speed is the most common for accidents and injury. So slow it down, folks. Slow it down, Coach Bob. We need to be careful about what we're doing. Ride within our limits. Understand that there are road conditions that are beyond your control, whether it's the guy mowing the grass, slinging the grass up on the road, and you run into it and you end up face planting because of it. Be careful. I need to be more careful. We all need to be more careful when it comes to how fast we go. Again, directly within our control. Now, number 3, I don't think this will come as a shock to anyone. I think that not only is this a huge impact to motorcycle world, it's a huge impact to automobiles also. And I think this particular scenario has gotten worse. It's inexperience and inattention, not paying attention to what you're doing. Do you know that 29% of motorcycle fatalities, 29% of those folks don't even have a motorcycle license? That's a pretty startling statistic right there. And it tells you that these folks have never had an MSF course. They've never done anything but get on a motorcycle, stick the key in it, and go down the road. You know, one of the things that I'd said on an article where people go, just get on it and go crazy. And everybody's like, who in the world would say that? People are doing that, and people do it a lot. And it can really end up at their own demise. You know, new riders, and we've talked about this in the CanAm, what can you do? Find those roads that are not crowded, that are not technical. In other words, not a lot of winding twisties that you're going to be tempted to go crazy on, where you just get on that motorcycle and you learn to ride. You learn to upshift, you learn to downshift, you learn to brake properly, you learn to accelerate properly. You learn those fundamentals. Go out on those more desolate roads. Go out and take your time. Do it right. If you're a new rider, this should make up the majority of the riding for your first year. I've been riding almost my whole life, and I'm going to tell you, the majority of my riding is on roads that aren't real challenging. I'm just enjoying the ride. Be careful. Pay attention to what you're doing. Those conditions and not paying attention to those conditions will get you killed. Another thing that you can do is that to bridge that inexperience gap is take some education classes, whether that means a track day. Track days are unbelievably fulfilling, and you will learn more about riding and handling a motorcycle in one day than you probably could in 1 year, because you're going to have people who are professional riders impart on you wisdom and knowledge that will help you when you get on the road. It's not just about going fast. It's learning how to brake properly, learning how to enter a turn with the proper amount of speed, learning how to do those things in a track can teach you a lot. And it's in an environment where if you do happen to go down, there's not a light pole to catch you, or a curb, or a car. None of those things are out there. Everybody's going in the same direction, and it's a clear pathway if you do happen to go down. But the inattention side of it, so we've addressed the inexperience, but what about the inattention? You know, you do have to pay attention to what you're doing. Cell phones, music, conversation, just looking around, you know, and we all do it. We all do it. Anyone who says they don't do it, they're lying to themselves. They just are. We all fall into that category where we look down. Sometimes it's not even a phone. It's you hear a noise on the motorcycle. When you're looking down, you're like, what is it? And you're looking down and you're trying to figure out what it is, and you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. You know, one day my daughter was messing with the radio when I was teaching her to drive, and I said, look up. And she saw a car in front of her and she slowed down. It wasn't a problem. And I explained to her, it's out there. That's what kills you. It's not in here. It's out there. Pay attention to what's going on out there. This won't get you killed. That will. So remember those things: a cell phone, a conversation, a beautiful lake, a river, the side of a mountain, a snow-capped mountain, looking at those things and not paying attention to what you're doing, that inattentiveness on the road, and it's easy to do. We all do it. Just be careful. Focus on it. Focus on actually paying attention and focus on building experience. So number 4, physical and emotional impairment. Wow, what does that mean? Have you ever ridden while you're tired? Have you ever ridden while you're cold? Have you ever ridden while you're upset? You know, sleep deprivation of 20 hours. So let's say you only got 4 hours of sleep last night and you're approaching the witching hour of that 24-hour day. Do you know that that is the equivalency of having a 0.05% blood alcohol content? Sleep deprivation is very dangerous. The nodding off, the fatigue, it slows down your reaction, all of that stuff. Sleep deprivation is a very, very big thing. Have you ever gotten in an argument with your spouse, or a child is in trouble, or you're stressing out about a death, an illness, or whatever? Those sort of emotional things, we are distracted within our own mind of things that are going on, and we are more prone to make mistakes in everything that we do, whether it's our relationships with other people, driving a car, riding a motorcycle, certainly, but everything. So understand that that emotional position that you have and the sleep that you have or have not had directly impacts how well you're going to ride and how safely you're going to ride and whether you're going to ride home that night or not. So we've got one more thing we're going to talk about, and then we'll wrap this episode up. Again, be sure, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. Number 5, and this is something directly within our control. Not always, most of the time. Mechanical problems. You know, recently I changed the headlight on the Spider and I was accused of overreacting. I had several folks, oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, I wouldn't stop on the side of the road and change that. Oh, I wouldn't do this. And that's fine, you don't have to. However, when I see a mechanical problem, I address it. I address it then because I don't want to end up not seeing and get killed or not be seen and get killed. Things are important. If you see a belt that's worn, if you see a tire where the tread is worn, you know, when I went to the Hot Springs Spider Rally, I had to have a new tire put on the Spider while I was there. I was unwilling to ride home on the tire that I had. I could have done it and it would have probably been fine. Probably. Don't take mechanical things lightly. If something's not working properly, address it. Address it then. If your brakes are acting weird, if your tire wear is not where it should be, if the air pressure in your tires is not where it should be, if your lighting is malfunctioning, if there's anything on that machine that could malfunction that you are aware of, you need to address it and address it swiftly so that you're not stuck out on the road somewhere, or worse yet, running into the back of a bus because you didn't have brakes. So make sure regular maintenance, regular walk-arounds. You should do a walk-around every time you get on your motorcycle or your CanAm Spider. You need to do that walk-around. Check your blinkers, check your lights, check your brakes, check all of it every single time. Am I guilty of not doing it every time? There are times. But I guarantee you this, you won't see it often. I do a walk around almost every single time. So I need to be more diligent in that as well. All right, well, there you have it, the top 5 reasons. So next week, we're going to be talking about the next 5. And I hope you've gotten something out of this. Be sure, again, share this. This knowledge is power. It could save your life. It's well worth the time to listen to these things. And even though we know these things already, and we do, it's nice to have them reinforced so that we are better, more safe, more responsible riders, so that we can build the kind of riding community that all of us can be proud of. Whether you're riding a Harley, a Spider, a Ducati, or a Slingshot, doesn't matter to me. Ride responsibly, do your thing, be safe, and do me a favor. Go out this week, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself. And remember, if you're not having fun, you are doing it wrong. Now I'll see you on the road real soon. You go seize the day.